Hello and welcome to Two Words Wolves Pod. I'm Ryan Eichten and with me today is Andrew Dukowitz. Andrew, how you doing?
Good, man. Live from Indiana, waiting for the Royal Rumble to start. So excited to talk hoops before I go talk wrestling.
You're a big WWE guy?
Yeah. It used to be a guilty pleasure, but The Rock says wrestling's cool again. So I guess it's not guilty pleasure anymore.
I mean, you like what you like. It's something that I never got into. I feel like that's something that if you don't get into it as a kid, it's very hard to like pick it up as an adult. And so I'd never really watched that type of stuff as a kid. So not my thing.
It's like soap operas. If you don't get into Days of Our Lives when you're like a teenager, you'll never get into it, I hear. So same with wrestling. You just need to get into it young and then you're stuck forever.
There you go. Sounds good. Well, like you said, we can talk basketball and leave the leave the wrestling on the side. The Wolves have won 5 straight here, their longest winning streak of the season. The last of which last night, a 138-113 blowout win over the Utah Jazz, who I think were trying to win the game, just based on that they played everyone, but ultimately were not very good. But a back-to-back wins on back-to-back night for the Wolves. I can remember it wasn't that long ago where they had this huge streak of never winning both ends of a road back-to-back. Kind of shows how far this team has come, even on a team that can be frustrating at times. They're able to win back-to-back nights. But yeah, 5 in a row. They're season high 6 games over 500 and approaching the 6th seed in the playoffs, trying to get out of the play-in tournament. I think it's unequivocally the best stretch of basketball, probably the whole month of January, or at least the past couple weeks that they've played all year. So, Andrew, what do you think? Just kind of in general, big picture with the team. Do you think they're on the precipice of going on a run here? Have they kind of turned around whatever was going on early in the year? Or what? Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say they've turned around whatever was going on earlier in the year, because like the Julius Randle fit has looked a lot better lately, but it still is clunky. They still have just kind of a weird roster. I mean, it's also interesting this like best stretch of basketball comes when Dante DiVincenzo, arguably like their second or third best player this season, has been out injured. I do think they're going to go on a run though. I mean, their next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of their next 7 are at home. They got Washington, that should be a win. Kings at home, that should be a win, honestly. Bulls at home, that should be a win. Rockets, And then you got the Trailblazers at home for their next 5. I mean, they should go 4-5. And then we're talking about a team that's, I mean, 4-5, that can get them out of the play-in. That can pass the Clippers, that can pass the Lakers. It could even get you up to where the Nuggets are if the Nuggets have a bad week. So I think a lot of people are going to be feeling a lot better about this team if they're sitting at the 4-5 seed going into the All-Star break as opposed to the 7 or 8 team. And then they're going to be like 10 games above 500, which I think it's been a really weird way to get here. But if you would tell most people that they're going to be like 32-22 going into the All-Star break, I don't think a lot of people would be like upset with that necessarily.
Yeah, I do agree with you. Like the kind of like the Randle fit, they're still like they don't have everything solved. Certainly, unfortunately, Randle got hurt in that Utah game. We don't know how long he'll be out. They'll probably announce that either today or tomorrow. But yeah, they've been just in January. I pulled up their this last 16 games. I did find a funny stat. Or I should pull it up. Timberwolves PR sent it out. It was a list of numbers that Ant had achieved that no other player had achieved. Yeah, so at Anthony Edwards in January, 45 points, 92 rebounds, 92 assists, 69 threes made, 12 blocks, 10 wins. No other player in NBA history has achieved those numbers, which is great. Not to take away from that at all. But a big reason for that is because they played 16 times in January. That's
I know.
That's
why they did the totals.
Exactly. That's why that's set as the totals. But on a rate basis, their net rating has been fantastic in January. 5th offensive rating in January, and coming into the month they were like 21st in offense or something really bad, close to that. I know 21st was like the lowest they hit in season long offensive rating. 11th in defensive rating, so a little bit of slippage there, but maybe that just has more to do with the environment of the game, more offense being in the game overall. And then that led to 6th net rating in January. So they're up to 14th in offense, 6th in defense, and 9th on the season. I mean, if they keep playing like this offensively, they're going to get that offense into the top 10, which is kind of having both the offense and defense in top 10 was always kind of the goal for the start of the year. Just looking at the last 5 games to shorten the sample size even further, they have the 3rd best offense and the 2nd best net rating. So like, the Wolves have been just killing it of late, and I just think they have the 2nd easiest schedule in the West remaining. It was first after this Utah game, and it'll probably not be the 2nd easiest after they play Washington here. But yeah, I just think they're well set up. They still have like big picture things to figure out. I think they've kind of turned it around where I don't think a Julius Randle trade makes sense anymore, at least not as a salary dump type of situation. But I do think they're well set up, especially next 5 games at home, to kind of start ripping off some wins and kind of get more comfortable away from the play-in tournament, which, like you said, I don't think, like, still 27-21 is behind where we would have wanted in the preseason. Ultimately, if they can get like the 6th seed and they're traveling to Memphis for the first round or traveling to Houston, like that's ultimately not a bad spot to be in if they can keep this up.
The other thing with January is they did all of that and they played 2 stretches of 4 games in 6 nights. I mean, that's insane. They played a ton of games in January. They played a ton of playoff teams in January. I mean, this was the hardest. I think we talked about it last time I was on the pod. This is kind of the hardest test of their season. If they can right the ship and go 500 in January, they're going to be set up for a good February. It's just going to be, I mean, as long as they kind of now just take care of business. I mean, the travel schedule isn't going to be an excuse anymore. Like they're going to have a ton of
the travel schedule was insane in January.
I mean, it's funny because like you don't, like as a fan, you don't think about it sometimes, you know, you just kind of think these guys get off the plane and this is their job. But like when they're getting on a flight at 1 a.m. and flying across the country, landing at 4 a.m., like getting their body right in one day and then going out and playing and doing the same thing, it just was grueling in January. So I do think February, this first stretch of it, and then they'll have the All-Star break to kind of recoup. A lot of things are just starting to look really, I mean, Jaden McDaniels has been awesome in January. Nikhil's, I know they put a graphic on the TV last night of just his 3-point shooting dipping into the like 20% range in January, but his defense, his activity has been awesome. Rob's getting playing time and he looks awesome. I mean, last night, Jaylen Clark was a world beater. I mean,
last 2 nights, yeah.
There's just so much trending in the right direction where I do think this team can make a run. Now, that being said, they are the Timberwolves, and anyone who's watched this team long enough, there is just something in the water in Minneapolis where they play down to opponents. Sometimes they get just shelled by good teams. Sometimes they don't wake up for games, but hopefully Chris Finch losing his mind for the last 4 days has helped.
Yeah, exactly. I just think like there's certainly like strategic things they've changed, and we'll dive into that. But I just think like, and this is like almost lame basketball analysis. Like they just needed guys to play better. Like there wasn't that was so much part of it. Like you mentioned, Jaden is playing better, and a lot of these have to do with strategic things they're changing up. But like they just needed a lot of guys to play better. Because like my thing was like, as much as like there was toxic fits about the team and like things that still probably linger as red flags or whatever, I just was like, we got to at least get to what the talent level of this team can be, and then you can start thinking of the big picture as like, is this roster championship good or not? Like the simple answer to that question is no still, but like,
right.
it's just good to see them start winning games that they should, start having put together. Like it was like halfway through December, halfway through January. Like it was like, I'm not sure they played a good game yet. And
Yeah.
I think, they've certainly done that now. Possibly the most fun 3 games of the season were the Denver win last Saturday, and then these last 2 have been incredibly fun. Obviously, sandwiched is that clunky Atlanta win, but like, I think it's just, you mentioned this before we started recording. It's just been, they've gotten back to being a fun team again, and that is, if they're not going to be as good as last year, if they can at least be somewhat close to the fun of last year, that would be for us fans, would at least be a nice step forward.
Well, and to your point about the Atlanta game, they won it though. It was ugly. I think Chris Finch took months off of his life during that game, but like,
yeah,
they won.
I'm just going by what Finch said, and I'm paraphrasing here. He called it like, just like the second half was like an inexcusable half of basketball, like that.
Yeah,
and that carried over to, like, we'll talk. Yeah,
objectively though, you said it was bad basketball analysis, but it's literally Mike Conley is now playing better. Naz Reid is playing like Naz Reid. Jayden is shooting better. Rob's getting minutes. Ant's still playing historically well. Like it's almost like everything that could go wrong for this season went wrong, and then there was the chemistry issues, and now it's starting to like revert back to the mean, which I don't think they're going to be able to figure out all the chemistry things, but if they can just have Mike Conley hitting 39% of his threes and Jayden get his 3-point percentage back up to the like mid 300s, like this is going to be a fun, good basketball team. And then the thing that's still like I keep hanging it on is like we've had this good stretch of basketball, and like Dante DiVincenzo isn't going to miss the year. Like he's not in a boot. He's doing light work at practices.
Yeah.
Like he will be back at some point.
Yep. We'll see. I think after the All-Star break, they'll probably give another timetable sometime. Because they said reevaluated basically after the All-Star break, and it's always important to like remind people. It's like that does not mean that's when he's coming back. It probably means that's not specifically not when he's coming back. It's when, at the very least, like guys take a week to ramp up or so. But like, yeah, it does not appear like he's going to miss the rest of the regular season or playoffs or anything. I found the Finch quote. He called the second half a totally unacceptable second half of basketball. So yeah, and that kind of carried over into Wednesday afternoon. So just like interesting from the guys covering the team down in Phoenix. A lot of good stuff from that locker room. So they beat Phoenix, kind of a comeback win of sorts. They're down double digits in the first half, and kind of reminiscent of the playoffs. Just in the second half, just kind of totally blew out the Suns. Kind of one of those games where it's just like, we're still not afraid of that team. The Wolves are still. Yeah. Finch gets ejected. Jayden gets ejected, just taunting Booker. Again, incredibly fun, if not weird, game of basketball. But like the comments in the locker room were the kind of standout thing, especially as it related to Ant. So I think Nikhil was one of the first guys to talk, and he mentioned that Finch had really gotten into them in the film session about just effort, defense, all sorts of stuff. And he said a quote to the effect of, "Finch woke up choosing violence." And Randle kind of echoed that. But then really like, I just thought like what happened that game and the Atlanta game before is such a good encapsulation of Anthony Edwards. So after the Atlanta loss in the locker room, he's like, so Finch says that totally unacceptable quote, was very clear. He was not happy with how they played. Mike kind of echoed that. Rudy kind of echoed that. And then Ant talks and he's like, yeah, we just missed shots. He was like, yeah, it wasn't anything. We just missed shots. And I think everyone in that locker room or heading back to the medium were like, what in the heck? Ant, you were not good enough defensively that whole game. It wasn't just missing shots. Maybe missing shots is a part of it, but like you guys turned the ball over 9 times in that third. It was not just missing shots. And kind of goes back to that. If you remember, after the Boston game, he had a similar type of quote where they had a good third quarter, but he's like, well, I don't want to just be a passer. I want to score. And he kind of, we walked that back. And then, so after this Phoenix game, he kind of says the same thing. He's like, yeah, I watched the film. Finch is right. I need to do better. He basically walks back without saying it, he walks back the just missing shots quote. And then he just does better. And like, I think he's playing the best basketball of his career. I thought both the Utah and Phoenix games were just incredible games from him, especially like early in the season, he was struggling very much with like the 2 on the ball stuff and the high pressure. And he's just done such a better job making the right pass there, getting off the ball. And then like the last thing, his 3-point shooting has just continued to be insane. I tweeted this out. He's made four threes a game on 42% shooting. If he keeps that up the rest of the year, the only players to do that for a full season are Stephen Curry, who did it 5 times. Like, he's basically having the best non-shooting or non-Steph shooting season in NBA history. And like, that's great. That's great. He's never been a bad 3-point shooter, although maybe the first few months of his career. But like, for him to make that leap is insane. So I guess what do you think about Ant's recent stretch of play?
I think he's been really good. I mean, Anthony Edwards, it's so hard to, like, it's a luxury to be able to cover him, right? Like, he is objectively one of the 10 best players in basketball. He's super charismatic. He's super, like, honest about stuff. He's, like, still a kid.
He can be frustrating at times too. I'll say that.
Right.
He doesn't always talk when requested. That can be frustrating, but I agree with what you're saying.
So it's hard to, like, it's hard to nitpick him, because if he wasn't on this team, the team would be, I mean, he is everything for the Timberwolves. He's going to be the face of the league in the future. Like, that's just the reality of it. I think he's been playing really well. I think Finch pointed out something after, oh gosh, I can't remember what it was. The last game I was at. So the Denver game on Saturday, after the Denver game. I think it was Dane Moore asked him just about like what it is about, you know, the players with high offensive loads, if that means they have to take breaks on defense. And Finch like directly called out Ant of like, no, just because you have a high offensive load doesn't mean you get to quit on defense. You still have to play on defense. A lot of guys with high offensive loads take breaks on offense. And I think that's just been a frustration with Finch all year, because Ant just takes quarters off defensively. And when he doesn't, this is what the team looks like. They're awesome. It fuels the entire team. It just is a completely different team when he's playing defense. And I think that's what was so frustrating in the Atlanta game, is like he was doing that again, where he was kind of just thinking, well, it's Atlanta without Trae Young. I don't need to play defense. And then his comments after the game, you're 100% right. Like, no, Ant, it wasn't just you missing shots. Like, you got to play engaged defense when you're out there. And like, credit to him. We texted about it last night of just like Utah seemed like one of those trap games where like they're not going to show up. And Ant came out and played his tail off. Like, he was playing good defense. He was pushing the pace. He was jumping up and down on the bench, everything that you want out of him. And I think that's just the difference between where this team could go. If Ant's going to be the greatest 3-point shooter of all time this season, and then also be super engaged on defense regularly, he could drag him to a championship. It's just, there's a reason 22-year-olds don't win a lot of rings. It's so hard to do everything.
Yeah, that's just the biggest thing I know. Like, on this pod, I've called out Ant a lot on this pod because yeah, and it's honestly like, it's not a denigration of him. It's because I think he's that good. And if I thought he's mediocre, I wouldn't call him out. I'd be like, hey, he's playing whatever. And I felt like coming into the year, they needed Ant to be a first team All NBA caliber player, at least close to it, or fight. Like, obviously if you you're sixth and you had votes or whatever. But like they needed him to play at that quality of play. And through basically January, he was not doing that. And it wasn't all his fault because like there was other problems with the team going on. There's the way defense was recovering him. There was factors that influenced that. But like they just needed him to play like this. And they're now getting it. The past month he's been probably the best month he's probably played his entire career in the regular season, that is.
Yeah.
His scoring is insane. He's since the turnover of the new year, since 2025, only Shea is averaging more points than he is. And like the Utah game is obviously like Utah has the worst defense in the NBA the past 10 games. So like obviously there's a grain of salt you take with anything, but like the two things Ant has struggled with, like with effort and stuff like that and focus, are playing second nights of back-to-backs and against bad teams. Well, that Utah game is both. And that's one of the first times where he's just come out and not had any of those issues in either of those scenarios. So to have them both line up is just such a big thing. And like, I almost like some of these games is just like when they have these bad opponents, like Ant, like you get rewarded obviously for making whatever team, like, dude, you can pad your stats in these games without like in a good way. Like you can, like he had 23 points in that Atlanta game. Like, dude, if you make that 33 in all these games against bad teams, like you don't even have to try that much harder. You can pick up easy points here. I've just been so impressed with him.
My thing is always, if you guys just come out and blow the doors off, you get to take the fourth quarter off. Like just go get up by 30. Right. Then you get to go home early. Like work a little extra hard at the beginning so you're not having to play 38 minutes.
Yeah. The other part of the Wolves that have kind of come back is them. It's just been the last two games, but like them just getting to a third quarter and absolutely murdering the other team. That's been something that like last year they did that all year. They were the best third quarter team in the league. In these last two games, like, so Phoenix is up 10 in the second quarter. They're up like, I should probably just check it. They're up like 4 at halftime, and the Wolves just absolutely throttled them in the third quarter. So Phoenix only scored 16 points in that, or 18 points in that third quarter. Goodness. And then same thing with Utah. They did it. So the third quarter, the Suns game, they did it with defense. Well, they did it with the offense, and they outscored Utah by 22 points, scoring 44 total points in that third quarter. So yeah, they just absolutely,
good Lord,
just torched them on offense. And it was, like you said, it was everyone on the roster was scoring. They're playing guys, Jaylen Clark and Luka Garza, that haven't seen real minutes all year. Like it was a fun night. It was obviously like we all expected them to win, or like if they want to go where they want to go, like the expectation is win that game. But it just like for a team that like wasn't playing anyone outside of the 8 guys, it was fun to see like the end of the bench really like not just playing the game, but contribute like real minutes.
Yeah, I mean it. Luka Garza is just so fun. Like I get you can't play him against everyone, but like man, when he goes out there and he's just hooping, like he's so good at scoring that it's just fun to watch him. Jaylen Clark, I mean, coming back from his Achilles injury, missed all last season. He kind of spoke about it a little bit on media day of just like how much it sucked not to be able to play basketball for a year. And I mean, talk about taking your opportunity and just running with it. I don't know how they put Minot back in the rotation now because Clark's been so good the last 2 games. And
the Minot thing has been unfortunate.
And then, I mean, you just have Rob. I mean, I was just looking it up now because it felt like he was doing really good when he was getting ISO plays. So 11% of Rob's possessions are ISO possessions. He has a 1.27 points per possession, which is 5th best in the league. And the only other people that are up there in his frequency are like Kevin Durant. Like, it's a small sample size because of his minutes, but like he just cooks people in isolation. Like no one can stay in front of him. So if they're starting to figure out how to play him with Ant, him with, Jaden and Rudy, who's a lob threat, like this team does have that potential to take another lead.
Yeah. We can talk about Dillingham here. I just think and I don't think anyone disagrees at this point. Like, Rob just needs to be in the rotation the rest of the way, no matter what. Yes, maybe after Dante comes back, he's not one of your 8 best players anymore. I'm not sure I even believe that, but like, even if he's not, like, you gotta give him as much meaningful minutes. Like, I look at like the end of his stats, like in these garbage time minutes he often gets are terrible. I just think like it's almost like garbage time. It's just that it doesn't even, like, it's just not even worth it. Like, it doesn't give you real experience. So like these real meaningful rotation minutes are just so valuable, and he's just knocked it out of the park during this stretch. Yeah, there's still defensive issues. Yeah, there's still like turnover issues are probably there a bit more than you'd like, but like I think we're all very high on what Rob Dillingham can be. It's still probably going to take a couple years before he's a starting caliber player. I would expect. Maybe that's too long. I don't know. I just think he's 19 and the defense is going to continue to be problematic, but I don't think they need him to be a starting caliber guard right now. I think at the start of next year, Dante will start. They'll still have Mike in the rotation. But I do think the purpose of drafting him was to find like their starting point guard of the future, and I think they've done that. So he's played now in 8 games since Dante got hurt. He's averaging 9.8 a game over just 15.7 minutes. So, I mean,
yeah,
if he continues to play like this and you see those minutes rise to 20, 25 minutes, like, he's a double-digit a game scorer already, basically, as a 19-year-old. So, like you said, like the isolation possessions, I've been really impressed with this pick-and-roll game, finding Luka Garza or Reid on a pop. Still kind of learning how to find Rudy on a lob, but he has a couple of those. Everyone has seemingly struggles originally with finding Rudy, but the pick and roll game, like the passing, has been really impressive. Obviously, I think people knew he was a good passer. He had 8 assists in this Utah game. But like already the high level passes, the skip passes, the really everything's been impressive with Rob. And if they can, like they have, if they continue to hide him on defense effectively, he's going to be a fantastic player.
I mean, his just effort level is so high too. Like, he rebounds harder than probably everyone on the team right now, and he never gets them. But like, he's boxing out his guy. I mean, part of that might be he knows like if he's not doing that, he's not going to play. But like, he just shows a level of effort that this team doesn't always show. To me, it's not even the defense that's the biggest issue with me. Like, I think there's going to be certain games where he's just not going to get a lot of minutes because of matchups. Like, if James Harden's out there, I probably wouldn't play Rob like at all. If those kind of bigger point guards that can get him switched onto him and then they can just back him down and work in the post, I would tend to hide him against those or not play him. To me, it's his turnovers, though. I mean, 2.1 assists, 1.3 turnovers. Finch traditionally, just with his backup point guards, it's Monte Morris, who had like a historically high assist turnover. Jordan McLaughlin, who didn't he go like 7 games without a turnover or something obnoxious? Like Tyus Jones, even I think he was here the first year. Like, Finch traditionally likes that backup point guard role to be someone that's gonna not turn the ball over and not like give easy opportunities. And I think that's something that Rob, I mean, again, he's in his first year. Like, not a lot of point guards can come in and just instantly have like a 3-to-1 assist turnovers. But I think that's why we're not seeing him in the fourth quarter, like closing games or when Dante comes back. I agree with you. I think he'll probably take a minute hit unless he's like awesome. And I mean, right now he's shooting 50% from 3. Like you said, he's basically a double-digit scorer. He pushes pace. He's doing behind-the-back fast break passes. Like, right now, you can't bench him. But I do wonder about that, if it's going to be Dante comes back and all of a sudden Rob's getting like 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, this is a kind of a rhetorical trick, but like, so Rob played 23 games in his career. He is better in his 23rd game than Ant was in his 23rd game.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a trick I'm playing because Rob had a bunch of DNPs. If I go,
Yep.
Ant was better in the 48th game of the Timberwolves season. So I'm not even sure it's a stat worth even mentioning, but like, it's more to point out like the difference in a player can have between 19 years old and even 20, 21, 22 is incredible. So the fact that he's able to do this, I mean, it's why they were so excited that they drafted him. I remember when they traded, when I first saw the pick, not being a draft person, knowing anything about anyone in the draft, when I saw that they traded up and traded an unprotected pick again to get Rob, I was like, oh no, what are we doing here? We're the light at the end of the tunnel was there for these unprotected picks, and now we got two more out there. But this is clearly what they had in mind. Obviously, like with any draft pick, the compensation stuff is big because, I mean, like we all know, the Wolves are in a bit of cap hell, so much so that they had to trade the franchise's best player since KG. But yeah, if this is who he is at 19, like I think they hit a home run. I mean, they traded a 6th grader for him or whatever. So like, yeah, it's just been really impressive stretch. And I don't know if he would have been able to do this earlier in the year when kind of when the noise to have him play was louder. But certainly it's beyond the point of looking back. Rob should be in the rotation every healthy game he has for the rest of his career. The other guy that kind of stood out. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say he's proven that he's an NBA player. I mean, there are guys that after 20 games, I mean, like Johnny Davis with the Wizards, weird stray, but like 20 games into his career in 22, 23, like it was like, oh no, this guy can't play basketball. Like he can't play basketball at this level. Like Rob, you're looking at, and it's like, okay, he's always going to be able to score. He's always going to be able to like use his quickness. He can shoot threes. There's at least a spot for him to have a 10, 12-year career.
Yeah, for sure.
Apologies to Johnny Davis.
Yeah, that's not my brother went to Madison, and so Johnny Davis is not his favorite Badger of all time, and that is unfortunately not transpired. NBA career hasn't really blossomed for him.
No.
Either.
No.
But yeah, the other guy I wanted to talk about coming off the bench, Jaylen Clark, playing his first real rotation minutes, non-garbage time minutes so far, hit his first field goal in the Phoenix game. But basically Clark didn't realize he was going to be played, said he wasn't even, before the Phoenix game, didn't warm up like he normally does, just because he wasn't expecting it. Unfortunately, it came at the expense of Josh Minot, who in the first possession he got out there in Phoenix, made a poor defensive play, and Finch pulled him 12 seconds into that run, and the person to take his minutes were Jaylen Clark, and he absolutely ran with them. The offense is still a bit of a work in progress, but his defensive chops, which is what kind of the rep on him was coming out of the draft, the defensive chops have just absolutely been there. Has been fantastic, fantastic in the minutes that he's played. Was a +9 in the Phoenix game, gave them a solid 10 minutes, and then was an insane +34 in this Utah game, which is not first on the team. Shout out to Naz's +35. But 17 minutes, hit a 3. That's kind of, again, offense is going to be the issue. So to just see him knock down any shot is good. But yeah, what did you think of Jaylen Clark's real first minutes with the Wolves?
I mean, he's just awesome. Like, he bodies defenders. He plays way bigger than his size. It was funny. I got to talk to him in Summer League, and he was like sitting there telling me that, like, oh, I think I can guard like pretty much point guard through power forward. Like, you know, I can do off ball, on ball. Like, defense is my thing. It's not a problem. He was even saying in Summer League, like, I could probably play center if they need me to. And like, you know, you just kind of like pass it off as like, oh, this dude's just like supremely confident. And then he's going out there and just bodying Devin Booker for like 10 minutes. And it's like, no, he has the goods. Like, he was the college basketball defensive player of the year. he is a tremendous off-ball defender. Like, he is incredibly good at getting in passing lanes. He is like hounding on ball. He has the size for it at 6'5". He has the strength for it to where guys can't drive past him. Like, he honestly, if his shot ever comes around, he gives me like Tony Allen vibes, where like at bare minimum, he's going to be able to lock someone up for 15 minutes if he's playing. And I think where this team is right now, that's the difference between him and Josh Minott. Like, Josh has been making defensive mistakes, and they do not need Josh Minott to score. Like, they have a lot of guys in that second unit, Nas, Rob. I mean, Ant's usually out there with them still now. I mean, they have guys that can score. They just need effort and defense. And I mean, that's literally what Clark brings, is effort and defense. I think what didn't Finch mention after the Suns game, like, it was really, he kind of turned to Jaylen because he's like maturity and effort level. So I'm happy for the guy. Like, he's a super cool kid. So I hope I don't see how you go back to Minott after what you've seen with Clark. Clark's going to have to screw up for it to happen.
Yeah. It is unfortunate that it kind of came at the expense of Minott, but I tend to agree. Like, Jaylen Clark has the 27 minutes he's played the last two games have been better than anything we've seen from Minott, unfortunately. Like you said, they need these guys to defend. Obviously a little bit of offense is nice, but like, that's the biggest thing. And if you can't, it's not even like defensive prowess. I think what frustrated them with Minott, and he's not the only person on the team that this was an issue for, was like making mistakes that were like obvious, like were points of emphasis in their game plan. And so I think the exact action in that Phoenix game that they ran, where he makes the mistake and gets beat backdoor, I think that like that was something they specifically scouted in the pregame, and then he like specifically messed up on that action, which I think was the frustration. And like all the others play, Finch woke up choosing violence, so unfortunately that came at the expense of Minott's first 12 seconds. But yeah, Jaylen Clark just fantastic. If they gain, I mean, with the salary cap situation, the Wolves are almost certainly going to lose one of their rotation players, whether it's Nas, Randle, or Nah. That's probably, they're not going to be able to keep all these guys. Obviously, they could trade one of them if it comes to that. But like, they're going to need, like they've had Dillingham step up here recently, they're going to need next season someone else to kind of step into that role. And you hope it's Jaylen Clark. Kind of less so Minott and Leonard Miller haven't blossomed as much. And it's just 2 games from Jaylen Clark, so maybe take that into account. But yeah, it's just, for a guy that didn't get to play all year, I'm sure KD and playing against him was big for him, because that's another Achilles recovery type player. Yeah, I don't know how much, if Randle misses time, that he'll probably slide into that rotation spot a little bit. The other person that will slide in that rotation spot that I wanted to talk about is Luka Garza. Fantastic couple games from him. Only 4 minutes, knocked down a 3 in the Phoenix game. But 14 big minutes in Utah. Just a guy that kind of, whenever he's out there, makes you smile. Knocks down both of the 3-point shots. 6 of 8 from 6 of 8 total. Again, when you talk about needing defense, that's not why they throw Luka Garza out there. They throw him out there for scoring punch. And I think it's plainly obvious that if Luka Garza is spotted against second units, whether it's in the G League or in the NBA, he's going to be able to get buckets against pretty much almost anyone. Certainly there's teams like Boston that their second unit is like starting caliber people that it doesn't necessarily work. But like, I think if they gave Luka, especially like games like this, if they gave Luka like 20 minutes, he would score like 10, 12, 15 points a game, just cooking second units. Again, the defense is always going to be like the opposite with Jaylen. I saw a funny tweet. It was like, I'm sorry, I don't remember who it is, but like, if you combined Luka and Rudy Gobert, you'd have the greatest player to ever exist. It does kind of feel like that.
Yeah. But
yeah, it's just been refreshing. Like, unfortunately, Randle gets hurt. They were missing Mike against Utah, and then they were missing Nas against Phoenix, it's been really nice to see like those guys, the end of the bench guys that haven't played much or at all this year, step up into roles, and Luka Garza was one of the main guys against Utah.
Well, that was kind of the thing before the Cat trade happened. Was like, all right, we got Rob, but also like we have Jaylen Clark who we're waiting for. We have Josh Minot. Luka Garza is on like a real contract this year. Like before we let him go, Dacian Nix. Like some people were like, I wonder what he could do. Like this was, again, it sucks that it has to come at like a Randle and a Dante injury, but this is almost more of the vision of, I think, what this team was hoping for, like around the draft. Which, I mean, Luka Garza, before we made the Randle trade and added like another starting caliber player in Dante DiVincenzo, like I thought Luka Garza was going to get some minutes once in a while. Just like Rudy would be out and then it would be Nas, Cat, and Luka Garza. So it's nice to see him out there getting it. He's just, I mean, his per 36 for the last 3 seasons, 26.8 points, 29.2 points, 27.3 points. Like he can score against anyone. I think even like first string people he can score against. The problem is like he is just so slow on defense, and it's to the point where they can't even like hide him in a drop. Like it's just, I don't know what it is either, because like he's a incredibly fit, like built human being. So I just weak ankles. I really don't know why he's bad at defense. Like he tries hard. I don't know. He's a conundrum on why the defense isn't there.
Yeah, it's certainly not an effort thing. I just think like he's too small to guard centers and he's too slow to guard forwards. That's like the main thing.
That's probably the easiest answer.
Maybe people would argue like he's actually not that bad of a defense. If he played with starting caliber players, then he would get more of a run. I think there's probably some merit to that. But what's clear is that the Wolves, I think before last year, people would have assumed, well, Luka's only like, in case of like, he's only a garbage time player. He's only like a couple of years ago, they had the meaningless end of regular season game against, I think, the Bulls, and they just didn't play. Like no one was like, I think there was an assumption that like that was the type of game only Luka would play in, and I think it's clear. Obviously, when their starting 3 bigs are healthy, I'm not sure if Luka gets any or much run, just because Nas, Randle, and Rudy need the minutes. But I think it's fairly clear, and this is matchup dependent, that when one of those 3 guys is out, Luka's the next man up, so they don't have to play, so they can continue to play their style without playing small. And he's it's good to see him step up into that role. And I just think like bigger picture, as like the NBA gets more in tune with the second apron or what teams have to do to continue to be good year after year with the financial restrictions, you're going to need like almost at least a player a year on rookie scale deals or on like Nikhil. I mean, Nikhil's making like $4 million. He will be making a lot more money next year.
It's crazy that he signed that contract. Like I get
that was
why
the market
he did,
value at the time.
because like that's like I get it, but like now looking back, it's like, man, like he's gonna get paid. I don't think he's gonna get like max contract, but like if I would not be surprised if he's sitting there at 18-20 million next year.
I don't know. Tyus Jones getting the minimum. I don't know. That's like the person I point to is I don't know what the market is. It's so screwed up with the aprons and the cap and whatever. But yeah, you're going to need players like Luka, like Jaylen Clark, like Rob Dillingham's highly drafted and paid a bit more than those guys. But like you're going to need guys, and like Denver's the prime example. They've been losing players back-to-back off seasons. They've lost Bruce Brown and then KCP, and through better, like they've struggled in some ways and done well in some ways. Where like Christian Brown is like an example of like a success story, but they've had like Zeke Naji that hasn't quite worked out. They've had other guys, and that's like they're a much thinner team than the Wolves are, but like that's a good example of like you need to be able to develop cheap players so that you can retain guys like Nikhil or Naz Reid.
And Minnesota's, I mean, under the, even like going back to the Gerson era, like they have, to their credit, been able to find guys for cheap. I mean, like, I didn't think Jared Vanderbilt was even like a, power forward, like capable backup power forward. They found him in the Robert Covington trade.
That Rocco trade continues. I mean, Jaden, the pick that becomes Jaden, is in that trade. Obviously, they trade Vanderbilt and Beasley for Rudy. Like, that trade powers so much of what they do nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, it's a credit to their organization, though, they have success stories. Jordan McLaughlin is a capable backup point guard. Naz Reid is probably going to be a starter next season, whether it's here or somewhere else. Nikhil, they snuck into the Mike Conley trade and developed him over a season and a half. I mean, Jaylen Clark, we're seeing it now. Luka Garza has been sitting. I mean, they're doing it right in Iowa, and they're getting these guys to kind of progress. Not to say that they never like swing and miss. Like Jarrett Culver was probably the biggest example of like a recent swing and miss.
Wendell Moore.
But like Wendell Moore, yeah. But like even Josh Minot, like I don't, if they don't pick up his team option next year, which I'd be shocked if they didn't pick up his team option because he's just so cheap. But like I think he'll get 10 minutes on a bad team. Like he's a capable NBA player at this point, and he was a bench player for Memphis when they drafted him. Like they just have a way of getting these guys to at least progress a little bit.
Yeah. I do wonder like if Luka was on a bad team. If Luka's on that Utah team, what would he average scoring wise? Like I just wonder, and maybe he wonders this too, like what if you were on a bad team and just got to chuck up shots? Would he be viewed as like this great? I think this is like a never-ending question for like guys on bad teams. Like, what would they look like if they had to play within? This was always like what people came with Cat about. Like, well, you're just on bad teams making like easy wins, and obviously Cat has like so smashed that narrative, both last playoffs and this season with New York. Yeah, it's
Luka
just been
Garza. What's interesting with him is there was no like market for him this offseason even. So like he won G League MVP. He played like good in the minutes he had with the Wolves, and like the reason I don't know every offer that was on the table for him, but like to my understanding, the reason he came back here is because there was nothing really out there other than like a two-way, and the Wolves kind of did right by him, which to me that's just crazy. If you're Portland, why wouldn't you just throw like Robert Williams is gonna get hurt. DeAndre Ayton's not gonna want to play basketball at some point. Like just throw a flyer out on Luka Garza and at least like see what he can do. But that's the thing that like I think goes unnoticed a lot in the NBA is just other teams they view players so differently. Like that's what I've been kind of saying with the Randle trade is like it's going to be hard to do. I don't think they should do it, but you never know what other teams think. Like I think this offseason he's going to decline his player option and he's going to get like a 2-year $80 million deal because someone's going to panic and want it. I mean,
yeah, I agree. I don't really worry about him picking up the option because like even if they do, I just think that's a tradable number for Randle.
Yep.
If I don't know.
And they're under the second apron. Like if he picks up his option,
right, that's the big thing.
Like with the contracts that are expiring, they can sign and trade him because of the first apron rules. They can take back more contracts. They can pair him with Josh Minot. Like I think unless he just goes absolutely nuclear in the second half of the season, like the most likely outcome is he either declines it and signs somewhere for a lot more than what that option would be, or he's just sign and trade somewhere else.
Yeah. It's the Randle option is not something I really worry about because like you said, they'll dip under the second apron because Nikhil's numbers will come off the books. Randle's number will come off the books, and Naz Reid's number will come off the books, which they'll try to re-sign most of those guys. But there'll be a point in time, basically before the draft, where Randle will, if he does accept it, you'll just be able to someone will. I mean, like I just don't
Brooklyn
see the
has
point.
like $100 million in salary cap. Like they
Yeah, I
have
mean,
to
like
spend that money.
Brooklyn would take him and then flip. Like if you're really worried about like, wouldn't Brooklyn trade a single crappy second for him? Like if you're really worried
Yep.
about like just only get off Randall's number. Like someone would take him and then flip him. Like it's like a investment. Like pay a second now and someone will pay a first for Randall later. Like I'm kind of not worried about that option just because I just think it's tradable. Unless, I mean, I guess there's a disaster scenario, but like I just think it's clear. Like while the ceiling of this team maybe isn't great with like Randall or whatever, I just think you're just better off running it back, making a Monte Morris size trade. I don't think. I mean, maybe they look into like only they know if they're planning to re-sign Nickeil in the offseason. If they're not, that'd be a player, obviously, I think you'd look to try to flip, especially if you do believe in this Jaylen Clark stretch. I guess I don't think there's going to be huge, because the only way they're trading Randle is if they feel like they get better, either like a cat trade where they are like they feel like they've significantly set them up better for the future, or a trade that they think makes them better for this year, because I just don't think they're going to salary dump him, and I certainly don't think they're going to trade the Detroit pick just to salary dump him.
Right. It's such an interesting, like I don't think they're going to do anything. Like I think they're just going to say, we got enough young guys, like this team's coming around, let's see what they can do. And then I don't expect Randle to be here next season unless, like I say, if he all of a sudden is awesome the second half of the year, like I think he's a guy you could talk yourself into, which is partially the problem with people like Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, those like second level stars. They're really good at basketball. Like I think the most likely thing they do is just send him off in the offseason, re-sign Nickeil, use the Detroit pick, and then sign a mid-level exemption, and then just hope that their guys progress.
Yeah, they'll be under the second apron, which I think is going to end up being the goal. We don't know what the ownership situation is. What would change that is if they're trying to get under the luxury tax. I don't even think that's really...
I don't even think they can do it next year. They would have to like...
If they lose all three of Nickeil, Naz, and Randle, I would imagine they would be under the luxury tax. But that would be kind of a disaster.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case, and especially from a team building perspective, the second apron rules are really what you're trying to avoid. Obviously, there's a repeater tax. Well, if you're just like in the tax, the biggest thing you're missing out on is the cash from the other teams that are in the luxury tax. If you're a luxury tax team, you don't get those payments. So
I think to me, like the thing that I guess I'm just more hopeful it's not a money issue because they extended Gobert. Like, yes, he took less money, but they could have just let him accept his player option and done what they could do with Randle, where they just flip him for cap space, and like
I think if
someone would pay for a salary dump. I just think that they're not. I don't think they're going to be in the second apron next year. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if they're never in the second apron again. It has killed all of my trade deadline dreams. But I don't think it's going to be like they want to get under the luxury tax or be a team with cap space. Like,
I think there's a chance that if Glenn is the owner of the team, that the cash kind of tightens. That, I don't know, maybe not right away. Maybe the trying to get under the, I don't know specifics, and but I do think that that's something. I'm complete conjecture here, no sourcing or anything. I think Glenn was a big part of the cat trade. Certainly signed off on it, and they saved they saved a bunch of money to do that. So, the ownership stuff looms. It's not going to be settled by the trade deadline, which kind of makes a Randle trade even more unlikely. But I mean, the whole reason there is an ownership dispute is that the cash was an issue for Aaron and Laurie. So maybe they also would be low in cash for next offseason. But at this point, we're just kind of waiting on the the outcome there, which I don't think anyone is really confident with what the outcome will be there. Last
Credit
thing.
to the Timberwolves. They're tight-lipped at least.
That's true. Well, this is like legality stuff. They kind of have to be. Last thing, just kind of looking ahead, like we kind of touched on earlier, they now have a 5-game homestand, 3 of which against pretty bad teams, Washington, Chicago, and Portland. 2, and then a game against Sacramento that they did lose the last home game against Sacramento. And then Houston, who's been playing good basketball pretty much all season. They go on the road for 1 game at Cleveland. That's a tough one. And then home for a back-to-back against Milwaukee and OKC. So 5-game homestand with a lot of winnable games, and then 3 to close out the stretch before All-Star break. I just kind of jotted down like 5-2 would probably be a solid record. Ideally, like kind of 6-0 or 6-1. You win all those home games. But if they're 5-2 and going into the break 32-23, that's not the worst outcome. Certainly, there's points in the season where we would take this type of winning. But this 5-game homestand will be. They haven't really played all that well at home at any point this year. So I think they've obviously won the last 2 games at home. They were 10-10 at home before these last 2 home wins. Hopefully they can kind of continue to winning ways, and that certainly will start with Washington, who has lost 16 games in a row, and it is not even alone as it's their second 16-game losing streak of the season. So they are. I saw last 10 games. Kirk Goldsberry puts out like the chart of where everyone is, and he had it was like the anti-Wizards were at the way top right, meaning the team that plays the Wizards was far and away the best team in the NBA.
I mean, I think I agree with you. Like 6-1 is the dream to close out here. I look at it like I don't think they've been good at home this year because a lot of their home games haven't been like home games. And like that doesn't make sense objectively. But again, when you're stopping at home for 1 day, like you are playing in Houston, you have a day off, you play in Minneapolis, you have a day off, then you play in Boston. Like you're not really getting the home benefit. You're not able to sleep in your own bed that long. You're not able to practice with the team. You're not able to really kind of like get settled. It's almost like it's a road game, but the fans are cheering for you. I think having like a prolonged 1.5-week stretch where everybody's going to be like practicing every other day, they're in their own beds, people are like just getting settled. I really expect them to go 4-1 at home or 5-0. Like I think anything less is going to be kind of unacceptable out of this 5-game stretch, especially with the teams that they play. Like they should be 4-1, 5-0. And then like you said, it's OKC and
Milwaukee.
OKC and who else? Now I've lost it already.
Milwaukee.
We're 50 minutes into a pod, but OKC and Milwaukee, they should be able to split that. Like it just objectively, if they want to be a championship caliber team, they got to win one of them. And the way they've been playing, they should win one of them. So again, 6-1's a possibility. And if they're 6-1, we're looking at this team a lot differently coming out of an All-Star break than kind of the doom and gloom we had a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. But yeah, it should be a fun stretch here. 7 of 8 games at home. I think I read that earlier. 7 of 8 games at home. They'll basically right now they have played 4 more road games. And they're using up all of those extra home games right here, which is not a problem because this is their first homestand of more than 2 games in a long while. Basically since the start of the season, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th games of the season. So it's really an opportunity to kind of get back on track or continue this 5-game winning streak. Andrew, you got anything to plug? Anything you got going on?
I'm writing a Jaylen Clark piece for tomorrow, so that'll be up on the site. Other than that, I am also going to be on a podcast called Drop Step that should come out on Monday. We're going to be talking more like nitty-gritty team building stuff, so keep an eye out for that. I'll be posting it on X. And then Ryan, I always appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. But yeah, Leo and I will be back early next week. Thanks for everyone for listening. We'll see you then.